Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And welcome to the show where we wax poetic about the movies we see on a month to month basis. It's time to crack open our
Movie
movie memoirs.
Memoirs!
Damn, I feel like after a whole month of fucking up the Miyazaki intro, that was actually surprisingly on point for us, Dragon. All right. So, folks, we are in the middle of the summer season, and we're going to talk about some news. We're going to talk about the new releases. You know the drill. You know what we're here to do. Yes, Little Blue, movie memoirs. Zah. Little Blue, when you type that out, you should put in the whole saw, SAAAAAH.
We also recommend people eat pizza while enjoying the podcast.
Okay, so we're going to start with news. Dragon, I'm sorry. I know you don't like covering box office stuff, and I will be quick about this, okay? I will be quick about it. I just have to give props to Obsession and Backrooms for absolutely fucking killing it at the box office this month. Obsession has made history by being one of the only films in history to have its box office totals go up from week to week for 3 weeks. Obsession and Backrooms collectively tag teamed Mandalorian and Grogu out of the top spot. It went from number 1 to number 3. I don't know. Just very impressive to me. Kane Pixels, who directed Backrooms, is from Petaluma, which is my hometown. So I'm feeling a lot of hometown pride. I'm feeling a lot of pride as a horror fan. So with that in mind, Dragon, I'm terribly sorry for that detour. Let's get into the actual news.
I hope you're happy. You're making Eli very afraid with how we're going off script here.
Oh my god. Well, I'm going to go off script once again because we are, of course, going to talk about our dearly departed. But Dragon, we got to talk about Tom Kane first, right?
I mean, we can.
Ted Turner listed first, but don't you think that it's more appropriate to lead with Tom Kane?
I mean, I was going chronological, but we can, yes.
I think it'd be burying the lead to not lead with Tom Kane.
All right, fine. We will start. Obviously, the the most painful of these passings, but so Tom Kane.
Yeah.
So I guess honestly, Tom Kane is the one we could have maybe done a in memoriam for between scheduling.
I was tempted to. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So Tom Kane. Around 2020. So in 2020, Tom Kane had suffered a stroke, and I was really hopeful that he would recover. Like Marty Graberson, the guy who voices Courage, he had a stroke and he ended up recovering. So I was really hopeful that Tom Kane would be able to bounce back after a while. That's why he had kind of retired in 2020. So yeah, it was really it broke me, man, to hear that he passed, and especially one of the last things he did that gave me a lot of hope that he was on the path of recovery was he did a con in March, like 2 months.
I saw this. Yeah.
And it was the most uplifting, beautiful, heartfelt thing you've ever seen in your life. It was him at a convention after everything he's been through, going there, and he was dressed basically as Professor Utonium, and around him were the 3 Powerpuff Girls. There are 3 voice actresses, around them, and it was a thing of beauty, and it was so sweet that they reunited one last time, And again, that just filled me with hope, and then 2 months later, it's just, my God, it's sad. The man had a prolific career. I mean, there are so many roles we could list, but just to highlight only a few, of course, Lord Monkey Fist from Kim Possible is delightful. Yoda on the Star Wars side of things, when Frank Oz, was not doing the character on the small screen, you had Tom Kane as the man with the legend. He did a really funny Morgan Freeman for Robot Chicken often, which was really nice, really good. Now, of course, a big one for you, Tiki, one of the other simian character he played. You have to talk about.
Yes.
Wild Thornberrys, Tiki.
Oh, Darwin, of course, of course.
Yes, Darwin, of course, Darwin.
Naturally. I mean, that just goes to show how versatile he is, because Darwin sounds nothing like Professor Utonium.
Yeah, and with that too, I mean, like for me, two of the
Like,
Tom
I
Kane
legitimately forgot that that was Tom Kane.
pretty
And not
good.
because he's not memorable, just because he's kind of a chameleon in that role.
I think it's so funny he often played it, English simians if you count Monkey Fist and Darwin. It was just kind of a go-to for him. But yeah, I mean, again, there's so many Tom Cannon roles. But I mean, for me, the two that I really want to highlight, aside from the ones we've already just kind of shouted out, which again, there's a numerous amounts of more we could. I loved what he did as Magneto in Wolverine and the X-Men. It was very much in line with Sir Ian McKellen, but it was very much his own thing, and he really made that character exactly. That was a Magneto that was very much kind of like the anti-hero kind of Magneto, and he did a really, because he was like offering the X-Men safe haven in Genosha. It was a really great take on him. And like he wasn't like a mustache twirly kind of guy. There was a lot of, but he definitely had a lot of power. He could easily take out the X-Men anytime he wanted to. He was great in that role, and that's a role no one ever talks about with him. On the flip side, of course, Professor Utonium, like one of the ultimate kind of father characters in animation. Just a lovely character who could have like really hilarious highs when they really crank Utonium in the crazy town here and there. Like he gets golf clubs as a birthday or Father's Day gift, and he goes nuts for them. Or anyways, just a lot of Professor Utonium was one of the great Gendy characters. That was one of the great Craig McCracken characters.
I would say he's one of the all-time great animated dads, just period.
Well, exactly. Just certainly. I'm just saying in terms of like design and everything too. And it was fleshed out. He had all this, technically Mojo Jojo's daddy as well. It's hilarious. So just Tom Kane, man. It was so much we could say, but so little time. Just he was fundamentally he was a good man. He was a loving father. He had 3 kids and he adopted 6. The man had 9 children.
Damn.
Okay. Just at the end of the day, that's the best way to summarize the death of a voice actor, especially the death of like one of the voice actors who I want to say got his start doing announcing. Tom Kane, it hurts not to hear those voices that we know so well anymore. It's like the last time we'll hear those voices aside from archivally, maybe. And it's just that's always the pain of losing a voice actor. It's like it's a voice you'll never hear again. That's the last thing we really have when we come into this world. We hear the voices as the eyes open, and that's kind of it kind of goes in reverse as well when they leave this world. So that is it's a loss, man. Tom Kane was a beautiful man.
Mm-hmm. One other quick thing that I actually recently found out about. Did you know he did the voice of the fucking Disneyland monorail?
I know, yeah.
That I Dragon for literally my whole fucking life as a theme park fan, until he died and I found this out. I just assumed it was Corey Burton.
I think Corey Burton's everything else in the park, though. Look, it's a reasonable assertion to make.
So yeah, really crazy. All right, and yeah, definitely a guy who could have warranted a full in memoriam. He will be missed. Yeah. All right, let's talk some Ted Turner.
So in conjunction with so again, another reason we would have led with Ted Turner is for the kind of the lead in from talking about Cartoon Network's foundation to one of its greatest stars. But Ted Turner, though, broadcasting giant, man, of course, brought us Turner Classic Movies, TBS.
I think this guy gets so much shit for stuff like Captain Planet, but like in reality, he did a lot for syndicated television.
Well, Captain Planet was cheesy, but I liked it as a kid, man. It was just the idea that it was. If I ever truly went back to it and gave like a watch from start to finish, I'm sure it would be hokey as all get out. But there was charm in the first time I saw it. As like on Cartoon Network, I'm waiting for Batman the Animated Series. Like Captain Planet, like okay, when are we gonna get the Batman? But by the same token, it's like, oh, look at these children summon this. It's like they have the power to summon the superhero, but it was very preachy. But still, though, the man set the standard for the industry. Like TV networks that were not like just the the classics, like the big, I don't want to say big five, but let's just say, like whatever, the ABCs, the NBCs, etc.
It was like the big three for a long time, right? ABC, CBS, NBC.
That sounds about right. I'm throwing five in there because I'm thinking
And
like
Fox
Disney.
came in like way later. Fox came in like I believe like the 80s.
Right.
Yeah. But no, I mean he definitely he had a big jump start as far as like specialized channels, so Turner Classic Movies, Cartoon Network. And so if it weren't for Ted Turner, we probably wouldn't get stuff like the History Channel or the Food Network,
No,
stuff like that.
that's the thing. There were a lot of copycats after he started doing that. So the whole specialized, you're right, Sci-Fi Channel, wouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the thing. So, Ted Turner, again, we owe him a huge debt of gratitude for Cartoon Network, but just in general, setting the standard for for television too. It was a very important staple to the medium that this man provided. But admittedly, look, there's some good,
Honestly,
there's some bad.
I'm a little annoyed at Doug Walker for like making him such a cartoon character in his material when he covers stuff like Captain Planet.
Right. Well, I mean, you got to remember too. I mean, so here's the thing: you got to take the good and the bad with Ted Turner. Ted Turner, he could be mocked very easily, and also, I mean, he kind of deserved that mocking with the whole colorization thing. It was.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That's what I'm saying. But again, it wasn't. Again, his intention wasn't just to outright ruin the movie. It was just a very wrong-minded kind of like it wasn't like he was trying to do something like to the detriment of film. He just kind of it was like the novel. It's like the past. Think about this. It's like the passing novelty of like the live action remakes to a degree. Just in terms of like, oh boy, I'd love to see my cartoons realized with real people. It's a novel childhood fantasy you might have versus like I wonder what I Love Lucy would look like in color. I wonder what
Mm-hmm.
It's the one. I wonder what those things actually look like. I wonder what it would look like in this context. So it's an honest thought to have, but by the same token, though, it's like I don't think he didn't think it out, and you can make the argument maybe it was just like to earn a buck, but by the same token, you make the argument it's like, well, it was an honest curiosity that then just was a really bad idea ultimately. But he had a lot of good ideas leading up to that, though. So you take the good, you take the bad, and then you get the gags with Family Guy with Ted Turner, which I think are also how we remember him fondly.
right.
I mean, technically, we had Ted Turner.
Bisexual. Yes, thank you, Ted. That was the joke.
But we have that. And we also have Ted Turner kind of giving bestiality, but it all balances out. Is what I'm saying.
All right, I'm going to shout out some comments here. Kogias says Tom Kane voicing Professor Utonium and him is really impressive, since they're such different sounding characters. That's what I'm saying.
The fact that he was him,
million.
The fact that he was him is still like crazy to me. But so perfect.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Little Blue says we lost 3 Star Wars people last month. Michael Pendington, Moff Tian in episode 6, who we don't really have an individual segment for him. Tom Kane and Marsha Lucas. And Marsha Lucas we will be talking about. So, yeah. And to think all 3 died in the month of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Kogia says he's a fan of Tom Kane's Magneto. Let's see. Little Blue says Tom Kane is the narrator of Happily Ever After Fireworks. Yeah, that's cool. That's also a thing. And again, probably something I just assumed was Corey Burden. Kogias also says Ted Turner did a lot of amazing things. Ted Turner is almost kind of like the Michael Eisner of cable broadcasting. Is that fair to say?
I think, well, again, we've established fictionally they're friends, so why not?
Right.
No, that sounds kind of apt. Yeah, it's about right.
All right, so let's get into Marsha Lucas. So obviously, like, huge influence. Like, the big thing is that on top of just obviously being a big support system for George back in the day and back when, he was creating his legacy with the original Star Wars and everything. Dragon, the term Star Wars was saved in the edit. is
Hmm.
like pretty synonymous, and you have this woman to thank for that, my friend.
That is true. She is a single. Well, she's very much almost single handed. I think there was another editor, but she very much led the charge. She like he's the editor who saved the original Star Wars,
Mhm.
especially the trilogy, but specifically the first film. Which, of course, if that film didn't land, there would be no Star Wars. So she was
Yeah.
very much. It's basically the way it went. You kind of see this if you ever watch the Empire of Dreams documentary, which is great.
Mhm.
They basically establish
Who's
that
watching this channel who hasn't seen the Empire of Dreams documentary?
they kind of get into it where basically the had George Lucas's his original cut was an unmitigated disaster, which is pretty much
Yeah.
what they say. And the way they demonstrate it is, and kind of extrapolate is that had George Lucas's cut been left alone, it would have been pretty much how he directed the prequels back in the '70s.
Oh God.
No, seriously, because his dialogue scenes was George Lucas. Ultimately, George Lucas, he's a gamesman. He knows where he can maps out the whole story. He's an outline man. He's phenomenal at laying out the outline. This is my vision. This is what I want to tell. And then he hires like the great writers like Lawrence Kasdan to really do the work, and that's why the original trilogy excelled the way it did. And Irving Kershner brought out the humanity in the performances, but again, the editing style, again, had it been his editing style, it would have been like, shot, reverse shot, long, like we have like a wide shot of them walking, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
That's it would have gotten like this there's a single camera, that kind of stuff. It would have been really flat and really it would have taken all the energy and all the good stuff. Again, the man had great ideas and he had tremendous vision that again cannot never be taken away from. But again, these people, even like Dave Filoni years later, Clone Wars, again, he needs the right people around him, that support system like Marshall Lucas, to bring out the talent and make it kind of something that people are going to enjoy. Versus like, man, this sounds like a great idea. Let's buy a ticket to this movie, and then seeing, oh God, what was I thinking?
Right.
Yep. One.
Yeah. So definitely a figure who, kind of unsung in a lot of ways, but contributed a lot. Like, because without her, we don't have Star Wars, and maybe Hollywood would have been better off for that. But we have her to thank for that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to poke fun at it.
Well, we should also in the last days, not our last days, but just in response to the recent Star Wars, to the prequels and the sequels, she did have thoughts, and they were constructive thoughts. They weren't just like necessarily just negative thoughts. They were.
Mhm.
She she was justified in her critiques of the prequels and the sequels and just kind of how things were handled. I felt because if anyone would have an opinion, should have an opinion on that, it would be Marshall Lucas, and it's kind of a shame that ultimately Marshall Lucas. It's a shame that she didn't get she got credit, but barely. She kind of a footnote in the history of Star
I
Wars.
feel like Empire of Dreams is probably the most kudos she ever got.
Yeah, that and Icons on Earth. Icons on Earth. Actually, Tiki, I told you about this before. Icons on Earth, Star Wars. She's in that documentary. She talks about it, and that's the thing that in that little series there, you really get a sense of in that docuseries. She we get the sense of George basically pulled a kind of Ray Kroc and the founder with Laura Dern's character with his wife, who essentially he kind of ousted her out of a piece of Lucasfilm during the divorce. And so that's the thing. She really, and that really hurt her feelings. There's a lot of love and there's a lot of pain in the relationship with George Lucas. It's a shame it's a shame she didn't get the credit she deserved over the years. And she also, aside from Star Wars, she worked on a lot of the other kind of films of the time. Before eventually things kind of petered out there for her. She had hands in things. She was she was a very well respected editor amongst what do we call the director group of friends, in the Lucas era, like Spielberg, Lucas.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay, it's not the Brat Pack, but what do we call Spielberg and George Lucas and the friend group of directors in the '70s?
I think that is just the Brat Pack again.
It's just the Brat Pack again.
I'm pretty sure it is just the Brat Pack. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Okay, I thought it had a better name than the Brat Pack, but okay. But yeah, the contemporaries of the Brat.
Google really quick, just in case.
I mean, I think it's like the New Hollywood.
Lucas, Coppola, friend group.
Yeah.
The movement that they started was New Hollywood. That might be what you're thinking of.
Yeah, like the New Hollywood kind of era. They really respect
Also, the
her.
Golden Trio.
But that sounds like an AI response from Google.
Yes, it probably is an AI. Fucking Google.
Okay, the point being, she was great, and it's important that we give her credit where credit's due. Okay.
All right. Okay, moving on. We actually don't have any horrible news in regards to Hollywood stuff, believe it or not. Yeah. So we have Matthew Lillard in Man of Tomorrow, of course, the James Gunn Superman sequel. I'm stoked for this. I don't care who he plays. I just hope he has a decent amount of screen time. I love me some Matthew Lillard. He is an American treasure.
All right, let's see. Then we have again, nothing really much there. There's Matthew Lillard, of course, American treasure. We love the man.
There's not really much to add there except for like a Todd Chavez style, like hooray!
He actually, recently he made a case for the whole Hollywood needs to employ more voice actors. So again, Matthew Lillard is a class act. I love this man. All right. So Matt, go on.
Sorry. Matt Shakeman is directing the next Planet of the Apes. Dragon, this is actually, I'm not stoked. I feel like it's like I never saw the Maze Runner movie, so I don't really have that comparison point for the guy who directed the last Planet of the Apes movie. But obviously I saw Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Fantastic Four First Steps, like, you like it a lot more than I do. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's objectively the best Fantastic Four movie that we've ever had. But, like, unfortunately, I don't feel like it's like a runaway, like, yes, this is the Fantastic Four we needed. Like, all the pieces, like, all the ingredients are there. They just don't come together for me in the plot, in the script. I don't know.
Well, he also did WandaVision, so.
Oh, that's true. I forgot he did. Yeah, that's true. At any rate, I don't know. I think this is kind of a weird choice, honestly. I don't, because the guy clearly has like a retro futurism thing going on.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of fits,
like
though.
Retro future Planet of the Apes. That'd be interesting.
I know. Well, that's the thing. And we might be going.
Man.
I mean, we might be going that way, though. I mean, that's kind of,
Hey, if we have a Planet of the Apes set in the future, that would be interesting.
A 60s-esque future, which would be really, the snake eating its tail. That'd be great.
Right. So look, it's not like I'm like, this movie's ruined now, but it's like, we'll see what happens. Like I
mean, let's be honest. It's not gonna mesh. Matt Reeves was like that was the end all be all.
I know, dude. I know.
So, I mean, it's a fact. Basically, we're settling at this point. We're getting good stuff here and there, but we're settling.
Now, granted, there are directors where we would be like, "Oh, fuck yeah, that's even better than." Like, I've always wanted a Guillermo del Toro Planet of the Apes. That's like one of
we want a del Toro everything. Let's be honest.
I know we want a del Toro everything, but like specifically, I think he'd be so good on Planet of the Apes.
Of course, he'd be good. So would Christopher Nolan, but
maybe that Tim Burton guy should do a Planet of the Apes. No, kidding. All right. Okay, and finally, we just have a whole lot of trailers. So, Dragon, I have one question for you, okay?
Yeah.
Who's your daddy?
Huh?
Because we're talking the Odyssey. Okay, people are upset about the fact that Tom Holland uses the term dad in the Odyssey trailer, and they're making way too big of a deal out of it.
That's what everyone's upset about?
That's what they're upset about, yes. It's like, why doesn't he say father? It's not period accurate. Yeah, well, them speaking like not Greek is also not period accurate, motherfuckers. I don't know what to tell you. Dragon, for some reason, and you're not really on the film bro side of the internet like I am, people are kind of out for blood with this movie for whatever reason. I'm very frustrated by that. I just think it's just like, you know how Twitter sometimes has like the main character of the day where it's like, okay, this is the thing we're going to go after. It's like, for whatever reason, this trailer did not get a good response. And let me tell you, man, you know what really stuck out to me the most about this trailer for me personally?
The scope.
The scope, sure. The scope's great. I love me some Pattinson, dude. I'm here for my Pattinson.
You're here for patty cakes.
Like, Robert Pattinson is very definitively in my boy territory right now, and I think he looks like he's killing it. I think he's bringing a lot of layers to a character who, frankly, could be an afterthought in the story. And I think what they're doing with him really is going to add a lot of urgency to the story, because it's like, we see Odysseus trying to like get home, but then we see what's going on at home, and it's like, oh my God, Odysseus, like you need to get back before fucking Edward Cullen's like does some bad shit, dude.
Oh, don't box him in Edward Cullen's. Come on.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Me of all people isn't gonna box him into that.
Don't sparkle your boy.
I don't know. I do think like there's some of the lighting looks like, I hope that the lighting is like actually like it looks a little bit muddy in some scenes. I'm still not quite sure how I feel about the look of the Cyclops. Like, obviously, we haven't gotten a good look at him yet, but we got enough of a look where it's like, yeah, that's certainly a CG creature. Doesn't really look photorealistic at all.
For a guy who barely uses CG, I mean, come on. He uses it so sparingly. Let him just have his CG Cyclops.
Right. So
right,
I think it looks really good. Like, I'm excited. I'm just frustrated that the internet is like apparently like, oh, it's gonna be trash. We kissed Nolan's ass for the fucking Oppenheimer movie, but this one, no, PU, sir.
Yeah, so I'm very sold on it. It's Nolan making an epic, but like a classic old Hollywood epic, which is
and this is going to play with time, with the different timelines, which I'm excited about.
Yep. The Cyclops for me it works so far. Again, the Cyclops is a make or break element of the movie, which I was wondering if we were going to see. We saw in the trailers, like, okay, we're doing. Again, I was really worried when it was announced Nolan's doing the Odyssey. I was worried it was going to be like symbolic of the Odyssey and not literally a period piece Odyssey, like basically
the fucking Russell Crowe Robin Hood movie.
I don't know. Maybe I thought it was going to be like
always be an outlaw.
I was worried when they announced that Christopher Nolan doing the Odyssey was going to be okay. It's going to be like a modern day like thing that's going to be a character going on a parable to the Odyssey.
Like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, but yeah, the point being like then him going the full nines with it. We have all the. We have the scope. We have our our warriors. We're on the boat. We have the Cyclops. We're nailing the story of the Odyssey. It seems. I'm sold. I want to feel like I'm reading the Odyssey for the first time watching this movie.
For sure.
And again, it's one of those things I'm a little worried about being able to see the movie, because it seems like they crashed the movie theater websites and everything when the tickets went live for this thing. It's not that getting tickets are impossible. It's the fact that it's only IMAX and there's no regular screenings for this thing. As far as I can see, it's only IMAX and Dolby and etc.
Mm-hmm.
So that concerns me, but again, it's a little worried about Nolan going a little too elitist with it. But aside from that, I am sold on the film. I would like to see it. I just don't know when.
For sure. Alrighty. Okay, so let's see. Next up, we've got My Adventures with Superman Season 3. You know what jumps out to me the most about this trailer, Dragon? It's not anything about the actual content of the trailer. It's the fact that this is the most old school, like late 90s, early 2000s-esque Toonami trailer that I have seen in a long time, my guy. Like, this gives so much classic Toonami vibes with the narration and everything.
Oh yeah.
Like, so that was great. As far as the actual season, like, I don't really think it so far it doesn't really have a big hook like it did last season with, of course, Michael Emerson. That was my big hook last season. So we'll see. I do think that Jack Quaid is getting more and more comfortable in the role. Like, I really love the moment where he's like, yeah, Superman it's harder than I thought it would be. Or what's the line?
Being Superman's hard. or
Right,
something
right.
like that. It's something
Something
close
like
to
that.
that.
It's like, there we go. That's that Jack Quaid Everyman charm. I wish that the boys didn't fall off a cliff so I'd actually be compelled to watch
It
it.
was there was an adorable moment in that trailer there where he's fighting I think Silver Banshee. While he's fighting her and Jimmy's calling him. It's just like Jimmy, it's not a good time.
No, he says, Jimmy, this better be an emergency. And Jimmy's like, yeah, I think it kind of is.
The Giganta.
Uh-huh.
So with that, the big thing with season 3 is we're really we're teasing up. We're getting a taste of the reign of the Superman, which this isn't coming out of the blue. We'd set this up in the background of season 2, and we're taking it to the next steps here. I think technically Supergirl's nickname, if I remember correctly, Supergirl's nickname in season 2 was Eradicator, which again is a huge, got the Superman reign of the Superman kind of thing, at least in terms of just a reference. Obviously, they recontextualized it, but my point being, we have Superboy and we have Cyborg Superman, which is really exciting, and the whole Superboy thing makes me, given how Superboy looks, I am really wondered if it's going to be somehow Lois and Clark's child.
Possibly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which would be a deviation, but this show is known for that, which could be good.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not like overly excited about it, but it's definitely something I'll watch when it comes out.
Yep.
All right, so Lanterns. Yeah, this looks really good as well. Now, Dragon, one thing I want to talk about in addition to the trailer is, I'm not sure if we knew this before, but I'm pretty sure they announced recently that there's going to be kind of like a dual timeline thing going on. Have you heard about this?
I have not heard about this.
So basically, it's going to be something like there's going to be 2 timelines. One is like an old case that that the 2 main characters worked on, and then we're going to have like a present day timeline. So I'm really interested in that. Like, it sounds very, I know you haven't watched True Detective, but it sounds very True Detective to me.
Well, remember Lindelof's.
Go ahead.
Like I was saying, remember Lindelof's doing this, so Lindelof has played with time a lot.
I totally forgot it was Lindelof.
That's in between, hey, Lindelof got into a little hot water over like the. I'm trying to remember if it was when that first trailer came out right before. The point being, Lindelof kind of made an off-color comment, literally about the off-color, the lack of green and everything.
Oh, and, no! Damon.
Anyways, the point being, like, Damon Lindelof, he made it. He kind of made a thing that sounded like he didn't really care, and he cares, but the way he made it sound was kind of offhanded, and Grant Morrison kind of called him out on it, and Lindelof felt, oh no, oh crap, I've offended Grant Morrison. This is bad. He never gets offended. Anyway, but again, it was like a little misunderstanding. They were very gentlemanly about it, but it's the fact that like he made I think maybe somewhat of a warranted. It was like an honest mistake, but he kind of said something about like green, so what? Like lack of green, come on, Anyway, the point being, playing the time.
Kyle Chandler looks like he's killing it in this role. What I love about Kyle Chandler in this role in particular is that it feels like he's very much matching Nathan Fillion's energy. Do you get that a little bit?
Well,
like,
we saw it.
It feels like he's a very similar style of actor to Nathan Fillion.
Yes, but a lot more kind of grizzled. That's kind of the vibe. A little more. But yeah, I see what you're saying though. He's very much kind of a. He's not sunshine and rainbows. This guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So this new Lanterns trailer though, I think I watched the trailer, I'm thinking, why the heck didn't we lead with this? This would have ticked off far less people if this was like the first trailer. If this was like the one we led with. Because we use the ring, we see the green, if there's intrigue, there's character, we have the great runner of Are You Afraid, which is kind of like the whole like Watchmen trailer stuff that we had with Lindelof's Watchmen. Like this is great. This is like I'm trying to like defend, like, oh come on, give it a chance. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure we'll get some green in there. I mean, like, why would James Gunn ever approve a show where the Green Lanterns don't use the rings? There's no green. Like, come on, even if it's just called Lanterns, which is what concerned everyone, by the way, with the whole Lindelof thing. Like, wait, you just call it Lanterns because you're not going to make it green? What's wrong with you, Lindelof?
Right, for sure, for sure. Hey,
But
Dragon. By the way, Dragon. I have I have a question for you. Okay, I have a question for you.
okay,
Did you hear about the Spider-Man supervillain who went full vegan?
no,
They called him Goblin Greens.
okay,
They called him Goblin Greens.
all right.
I'm sorry. That's not even my joke. That's a friend's joke.
I would give it back to him. That was a lame joke.
That's kind of the idea. He does a lot of dad jokes, anyways. All right, I'm terribly sorry for that. Moving on.
That was an uncle joke, Tiki. That wasn't even a dad joke. That was an uncle joke.
It wasn't even an uncle joke. It's an unk joke. All right. Okay, moving on. X-Men 97 season 2. I'm not gonna lie, Dragon, nothing about this is really grabbing me.
Really, nothing didn't have
It
a
just
nice
feels
build.
like,
To
hey,
it.
there's more X-Men. More X-Men. We love the X-Men, right? There's more of it. It doesn't have a hook, man. It doesn't have a hook for me.
Apocalypse, time travel, Cable. These aren't hooks for you.
Not really, because we've seen it all before. I don't know. Call me a cynic. I don't know what to tell you. Didn't really move the needle on it for me.
Point being, I think.
No, here's the thing. I wasn't really interested in X-Men 97 either, right?
No.
And I do feel a little burned by X-Men 97 because up until that one episode, and you know the episode, which was like where the season absolutely peaked, like I was loving it. I was super into it, right?
Yep.
But then I thought that the stuff after that episode was okay. Like it wasn't bad, but it's clear that they had a really big vision with the Gambit arc in that season. And I kind of feel like they should have just ended the season with the Gambit thing. Now, the one thing in this trailer that does kind of hook me more than anything else isn't the fucking like, oh my god, it's apocalypse and time travel. It's simply Rogue having to deal with the fallout of Gambit because I am attached to the character stuff. I think the character stuff in the series is better than anything else that the series does. So I'm kind of playing a wait and see attitude about this, especially because I know there's a lot of drama about the original showrunner, as far as I know. Okay, remind me, Dragon, the original showrunner, I know that he did get fired, but does he have his fingerprints on this season, or is it a completely new team?
I want to say, I mean, I think he mapped it out, but I think it's pretty much like, let me put it this way, the large majority is the new team, but I mean,
So that's like, I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but it's a question mark. So, I mean, you know my play, Dragon. I'm waiting for the reviews. I'm sorry. I know that frustrates you.
It does. It does. There's no leap of faith with you. It's always what's the crowd think? What's the consensus thing? What are the film bros think? Oh, I have to appease the film bros. Like, am I your bro? Am I your film bro?
Hey, there have been several. Oh my god, there have been several movies I've loved that the film bros have hated. All right, but anyways,
Peregrine, am I cool enough for you now?
All right. But yeah, it's going to be one of those things where it's like if I see a lot of hype, if I see a lot of conversation about it, I will definitely give it a watch. But if it's just kind of like, yeah, it's just sort of more X-Men, it'll probably be a skip for me.
Now, that would be a great sequel title, by the way.
Yeah, it's just more X-Men.
Yeah, more X-Men. Like, once the MCU starts cranking out these X-Men movies, isn't to call the second one more X-Men?
Oh, God. All right, so let's get to the trailer that genuinely surprised me, dude.
I know. I wanted to get your reaction to this one.
You know me. I legitimately can't fucking stand The Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
I have 3 words that I use to describe The Big Bang Theory, and that is nerd blackface. I know that's harsh, but that's kind of how I feel. It's just like, hey, let's put on this like fucked up, like inverted version of what a real nerd actually acts like, you know? But no, here's the thing though. I don't even like I haven't watched enough Big Bang Theory where it's like I know Stewart, like I've seen him.
I
I
mean, we should
don't know
probably
all
mention the
the
name of. Should I mention the name of the thing?
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. It is a really good title. It's a genuinely good title. Stewart fails to save the universe.
Okay, go ahead.
So like I knew the name Stewart more than I knew the actual character of Stewart. Like for example, when the big villain pops up, the guy with the weird voice, I have no idea who the fuck that is.
Yeah,
Dragon.
that's Kripke.
Yeah, no idea. I have no, doesn't ring a bell at all. But of course, you know the thing that got me into this, right? I'm sure you do.
It was the well, it was the post-apocalyptic. It wasn't just the post-apocalyptic setting, right? It was
No,
the
it's Brian Posehn, my guy.
oh, Posen, that's your cell.
I love Posehn. I saw a comedy show that Posehn did that was honestly kind of like almost like an I shall don the image of a bat moment for me. Is like, hey, this guy's talking about stuff that I can relate to. Like Posehn was talking about, like being a really big guy and being, like painfully self-aware of how intimidating he could be to women and stuff like that, So no, Posehn has been like a major comedic influence on me for years. Like I loved him in the Adult Swim stuff, like Mission Hill and stuff like that. So anytime Posehn's in anything, I'm in. I don't think yeah, I know he's in the Big Bang Theory. Koki, yes, I know he's in it.
Yeah.
I like the Big Bang Theory. My problems with the Big Bang Theory basically begin and end with Sheldon Cooper. I can't fucking stand Sheldon Cooper. I don't really like the other main characters in that show either, but Sheldon Cooper is like the worst.
And yet, young Sheldon, I still think you would like.
He's not... because of the Wallace Shawn factor. Because of the Wallace Shawn factor. That's the thing that is kind of like drawing me to young Sheldon. You know what? I think I'll do young Sheldon if I ever need like a sick day show. Like something like
But seriously, the supporting it's not just Wallace Shawn's great in that, but like Ed Begley Jr. is in that show. Like they have a great the cast in that show is amazing.
And the fact that it's not just like a laugh track sitcom, they actually try a little bit harder stylistically.
Yeah, exactly. It's great.
And then this is just going completely off the rails, which I love. Yeah. Like low-key, I'm not just gonna watch this. I'm low-key pretty excited about it, which I never thought I would say for anything related to the Big Bang Theory.
Let me give you an example of just how good this could potentially be. Okay, Jonathan Frakes directed episodes of this, and he is involved, and he's hyping it up. Like he was excited. He loved directing this. So I mean, that's Frakes.
I'm so sorry. You're gonna have to remind me who that is.
Okay, Jonathan Frakes was number one on Star Trek, and he was like Picard's number one. Like Mikitso number one.
He was number one. Yeah, okay, I got it.
But beyond that, I mean, he was also David Xanatos in Gargoyles, and he's a great director. And Frakes is good.
Cool.
He directs a lot of stuff. He's a really good director.
Eli's comedy in that we got Annie Potts and Craig Nelson and Young Sheldon. Yeah,
I love Annie Potts in that show. She's so good.
Pretty stacked. Anyways.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so Stuart, so basically it's just this weird and fun looking spin-off. It's just this trippy, apocalyptic kind of concept, and the fact that we took Stuart. And again, you've seen Stuart, this actor, it's Kevin Sussman. You saw him in Better Call Saul. He was the cancer man at the very end.
Oh, okay.
That was him.
Got it. Yeah. Sure.
So Kevin Sussman, these are the whole cast. These are characters from The Big Bang Theory, but dropped into this post-apocalyptic setting. But again, the style is completely off. It's this save the world concept. It's really trippy. It's really inventive. And again, I really love that Chuck Lorre's not he's not just repeating himself with this. You get young Sheldon, which is kind of a Wonder Years kind of thing. You have this, which is very much an action show, which you would never lump in with The Big Bang Theory. But because it's kind of a Warner Brothers thing, technically we have means to do that. Mr. Freeze, it seems like Mr. Freeze or something that looks a lot like Mr. Freeze is actually in this thing. That's crazy.
What about Georgie and Mandy? Have you watched that at all?
I have watched it. I liked it, but I fell off of it because I'm busy with other things. But I liked it. Here's the thing. That show, again, it's a spin-off from Young Sheldon. They went back to
To the laugh track style, right?
Yeah, but it was good though.
Feels more palatable than Big Bang Theory to me.
I think
I
again,
only
I
know
think
about it because I'm inundated with ads for it whenever I watch Survivor.
Let me put it to you this way, okay? If you watch Young Sheldon and you like the Georgie character, I think you're really going to like the show.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so yeah, we got through the news.
All right. Anyway, point being, this looks promising. I look for it.
Yeah. All right, so it's time to get into some new releases. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay, Dragon. Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm going to start by saying I do not dislike this movie. I don't like this movie. I don't have any emotion for this movie whatsoever. This movie exists, and that's basically my take on it. No. Obvious. I think this movie. I think honestly, everything up until like we wrap up the Rod of the Hutt storyline, and is fine. It's actually pretty good. I was actually decently engaged with it. The opening scene is great. The opening scene is basically like the closest we've ever come in Star Wars to a Bond style cold open. That's really cool. I love the Marty Scorsese cameo. Love it. I've been getting some decent mileage out of the concept of sexy Jabba the Hutt in my stand-up, so I appreciate that. But my problem with this movie is honestly just after the Rod of the Hutt, gets taken away, oh, he's going back to his home planet or whatever, the IG-88 ripoff looking droid takes him away. The movie just falls off a cliff for me. And it's not bad. It's not terrible, though. It's not terrible. Like, we get good stuff. Like, I love Babu Frick. I love that we have the practical Babu Frick puppets, stuff like that. I should like the stuff with Grogu, like going on the little solo adventure more than I do. I think my problem with this movie is just that it feels inconsequential. It just feels like 2 or 3 filler episodes of the show, and that's about it. And for me, it's like, are parts of it good? Yeah. It doesn't come close to the highest highs of the show, and it doesn't come close to the low lows of the show either. Granted, this is better than anything in season 3 as far as I'm concerned, but it's not nearly as good as some of the best stuff either. So again, it just, for me, it just kind of evens out to a movie where it's like, yeah, that was certainly a movie. That was fine. What say you?
So look, in general, I love Mandalorian. I love that show. I mean, the show really helped reinvest me in Star Wars in a big way. So I always got a kind of a debt of gratitude towards it. And I still love those first 2 seasons. I like season 3, but I love the first 2 seasons. I really enjoyed this. It felt like season 4 turned into a movie, but in a good way, at least in my opinion. It's kind of like, I'm not saying it's as good as this example, but I said this movie that we already did like a big old spoiler cast on, so I don't need to get through all of this. But if I were to kind of cliff notes it here, it's basically I like that we kind of pulled a phantasm in terms of what if we gave the show the budget we feel it deserves. In terms of this feels like an episode of Mandalorian with like a Star Wars movie budget, which allows us to do things like the Hutts, which was the biggest jip from Book of Boba Fett. Like we have like those 2 Hutts for like one scene, and the reason being they're really expensive if we don't build them practically. Even if we did build them practically, it'd still be expensive. So the point being, we actually do all the Hutt stuff. I thought was really good in this movie, like going in the Nal Hut, all that's great. The opening, pitch perfect in every way, flawless, just your chef's kiss, just everything you could ever want.
Mm-hmm.
I love when Grogu's tapping him on the helmet. Like it's just a perfectly executed sequence. I love it. I thought it was an awesome movie, but it could have been trimmed in 2 places for me. And I think would have benefited from that. Let me put it this way. I think it could have been trimmed in 2 parts. They're going to help the film's runtime. And I think it would have benefited from Cad Bane not being, in quotes, because it's Star Wars, killed off in Book of Boba Fett. No one's ever really gone.
Right. Yeah.
That's the thing, that we had this no name. And yes, I know he was in Clone Wars. Yes, Embo was cool looking. He was faithful, but he wasn't like, he looked so similar to Cad Bane. Why can't it be Cad Bane going up against Mando would be the coolest thing ever? But we can't do that because Boba, had one pretty solid fight with him, and that was it.
Right. I feel that.
The game said it was a great fight because it was too brief, but it was like, pointing. Cad Bane's a great character. We killed him off. I'm not over it. Anyway, so the biggest expectation I had going in this movie was the whole helmet thing and how we were going to address that concern. We did it in an awesome way. I was really pleased with, like, okay, we did it with a really cool line. Like, how are we going to get him out of this situation? That's a really neat way to do it. With the things I liked, I mean, we had stop motion in this movie, and it was amazing the way we incorporated.
Yeah,
Phil, you got to see Phil Tippett do some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Grogu short film that is nice, but it slows things down with our pacing. That is that's one of the two things I like it, but it's kind of a problem.
Especially because when Mando does wake up, it kind of feels a little inconsequential.
Yeah. Again, it opens that whole sequence. It's great. I mean, I like it, but individual to the film itself. But when we have it in there, it just opens up some logic questions I did not have to the rest of the film. Like, wait a minute, if he can do that if he has that ability, which we've established, yes, why can't he do it fully here? And then, if he can do that, why can't we? Other characters, that kind of thing. It's kind of a universe-breaking ability we gave them, and I don't know. Just the fact it kind of went. For the plot, we couldn't go full tilt with it, and that kind of bugged me. Here's again the Return of the Razor Crest, worth the price of admission. There it is. There's my baby. It's back. Oh my god!
And I will say, seeing it on IMAX, the Razor Crest scenes, are definitely the one thing that really popped in IMAX. Pretty much everything else, I was like, there's no real reason to see this in IMAX, but the Razor Crest scenes definitely popped.
So I had a lot of I guess the best way to summarize, I had a lot of Mando wish list stuff that I got in this movie, and I was pleased with it. Like the pulse rifle.
Would you say you were a fan and you were served?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Anyway, also, so one last thing, we credited the stunt guys. Top of the movie, that was really nice.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. That's true. Alrighty. Okay, let's see. Next up, we've got, oh boy, Obsession. Oh man. Oh god. Oh, Dragon. Hype. I don't even know how to talk about it. This movie is just a fucking phenomenon. Like, everyone on the internet has talked about it. Like,
what the heck is this movie about?
Okay, the basic Cell, I think you'd actually like the Cell. Like, I don't think you'd like the movie itself because it's a little too intense for you. The Cell is that the main character is this awkward, nerdy guy who's in love with his childhood best friend, right? And, he's trying to ask her out. He's trying to break it to her, but he's terrified that if he makes a move, that it'll ruin the friendship. And so he comes upon a novelty shop where he sees something called a One Wish Willow, which is essentially like it's in this little like joke novelty box, and it's like a little like twig thing, like a black twig. And the whole gimmick is that like you snap the twig, you get one wish, right? And whatever you wish, it'll come true. So this guy, he's very frustrated at his lack of game. He's very frustrated that, that he pretty much blew it with this girl. So he snaps open the One Wish Willow and he wishes that this girl would love him, and I quote, more than anyone in the world. And Dragon, the rest of the movie is basically the most fucked up monkey's paw shit you could possibly imagine, and it's glorious. So essentially, like, the girl does become obsessed with him, to a very scary degree. Like, we're talking like she will not let him leave the room to take a piss, okay? And the movie just has this great job of escalating tension because it starts where it's like, okay, like you don't really know, like she could just be like on drugs or something. I don't know. And then she starts doing all these things like she's trying to She's making up all these excuses for why she needs to be with this guy. And then the brilliant turn that this movie makes is that the guy starts to take advantage of the situation. And when I say take advantage of it, I mean in like the most gross way like you could picture with that. And here's the scariest part of the movie. The scariest part of the movie is that the actual woman, the actual personality of the woman is in there. She's just kind of like, like, Dragon, did you ever see Get Out?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, Dragon, essentially, the way I would describe the state of this woman is that she's in the sunken place, right? Like the fucked up version of her that the Wish conjured up that loves this guy more than anyone in the world is at the forefront, and she's in the sunken place, okay? But occasionally, like when she's sleeping or stuff like that, the woman can come out, like the real Nikki can come out, and that's what's scary about it, man. Just the idea of like, so it starts where it's like you're in a place of like, oh, this woman is acting like super unhinged and scary, but it ends in a place of like, oh my God, this poor girl who went through all this shit and had no autonomy, and this guy was taking full advantage of the situation, even though it was obviously a terrible, like he was so in love with her, or not in love with her, just obsessed with her. Because a big theme of the movie is that there's a big difference between love and romance. That he basically became a predator. He basically became someone who, was just full on, like, he knew full well that this woman had no autonomy and he was taking advantage of her. And I just think that sort of dichotomy, that sort of like, oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's chilling. Indy Navarrete, by the way, Dragon, Indy Navarrete, does that name ring a bell at all?
No.
Okay, she was in Superman and Lois or whatever.
Oh, her. Oh, I know her now.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Dragon, she's incredible. Like, unfucking believable performance. Like, legitimately jaw-dropping performance. So, yeah, man, I can't say enough good things about Obsession. Like, we've had a lot of good horror movies. Last year, we had the 1-2 punch of Sinners and Weapons. I loved both of those movies. Weapons was my favorite movie of last year. This beats both of them. All right? This beats both of them.
It's that good.
Yes. It's scarier. It's potent. It like, I feel like it's going to be evergreen as far as like shining a light on society and shining light on toxic masculinity. This is a classic. This is an instant fucking classic. This was a classic from the fucking night that I first saw it, okay? Like, I can't hype it up enough. And you'll probably never watch it, and that's fine, because it's not your type of movie. All right, Little Blue says, me and my dad found the film to be excellent. He says, I first knew Indy Navarrete from Superman and Lois, and who thought of that would have done, and 13 Reasons Why would be in this. Yeah, she was also in 13 Reasons Why. She had a little bit more of a bit part in that. All right, so moving right along there. Let's see. We have Marty, Life is Short. I'm definitely going to catch this on the catch up.
Yeah, so this, of course, I love that the comedy greats have been getting these documentaries, oddly on different competing platforms with, these documentaries about the lives of these iconic comedians, if you think about it. Okay, so you have Martin Short as just, again, that's who this documentary is about, as you can probably guess. So that's Netflix. We have the John Candy documentary, that's Amazon. Steve Martin's got the 2-part documentary on Apple. And I'm sure there's another one I'm blanking on right now, but that's what I'm saying. It's like every Mel Brooks on HBO Max.
I work for Mel Brooks. Yeah.
So it's crazy to me. Like, they're all the greats that we get these on these competing streaming services. So anyway, so very much we kind of learn from Martin Short here, and this is very much is an intimate look on the man's life, and we kind of learned that he was very much the. I love that John Candy is like the connecting thread in the cinematic universe of comedy documentaries as well. By the
Right,
way,
right.
to some extent. Uh, anyway, this is again, it's a nice intimate look at Martin Short's, his backstory and his family life. And again, it's sad that this like the last interviews with Catherine O'Hara too, because they came up together in I forget if it's Second City or not, but basically the Canadian improv group that basically all met each other at, and that's it's also John Candy, so they were very much that's where they all they're all Canadian comedians, so they were and they were very close, Martin Short and Catherine O'Hara.
Canadian. Sorry, I'm trying to make a lame joke, but I can't. Never mind. Disregard. I'm sorry.
Okay, just sit down, Tiki. It's okay.
Comedians. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay,
you're not on in 5, Tiki. It's all right. So, but yeah, so he and Catherine O'Hara were very close, and it was it's kind of nice to see her like one last time. But again, we basically learned that Short was a very good father. He adopted 3 kids, his 3 children. His house was very much kind of this comedy and celebrity melting pot. Like everyone, they went to Martin Short's house to hang out, just visit him, and they were all very chummy. And that was kind of like this network was kind of built, like this network of comedians and this celebrities were just kind of built at their house. It was like this safe haven for everyone, and it's just this very sweet and endearing thing. It's everyone felt like family who went to that house.
Is it like Applebee's when you're here, your family?
If that helps, Tiki, yes.
All right, I'm sorry. You're right. I am not on.
my point being, it's just it's a really nice, it's kind of a nice pathos-filled look at Martin Short, and we learn about he had incurred some losses in his early life, which I had no idea about. It's very informative, and it was really. I wish they had gotten into his films just a little bit more. They cover them, but again, it's not really the focus. It's about the man himself. So we covered the highs and the lows with the success of his films. So Clifford is covered.
Oh man,
not as much as you or I would like it to be, but it is covered. Also, Jiminy Glick. We talked about the origin, the genesis of Jiminy Glick.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Jiminy Glick. Oh man,
so yeah, that's fun. That was a lot of fun when they talk about Jiminy Glick. Now they don't cover or interview his daughter who passed away, and we didn't cover her on Memoirs out of respect. And that respect here was, I don't know if it's out of respect because it happened very recently. It could have been a thing where they didn't. If they shot interviews, they probably opted let's not use that out of respect, or maybe they didn't because she was going through stuff. But sadly, she's not around. But at the end, there's a little tribute to Catherine O'Hara and Catherine Short. So it's kind of nice, but still, it's. Anyway, so I approve of this cinematic universe of comedian documentaries. I think it's a great idea. So this was it's kind of nice that we're also technically for The Only Murderers kind of thing I'm building here. Selena Gomez does have a documentary on Apple as well. So that's all 3 of them have gotten documentaries.
Nice. That's funny. Okay, next up, Backrooms. I am not going to glaze this nearly as much as I glazed Obsession, but with Backrooms, it's one of those situations where it didn't really land with me personally as much as I wanted to. I feel like it is a situation where I did go in super hyped for it, Dragon. Super hyped for it. And it was kind of like, yeah, that was good. That was a good movie. I just want to give credit where credit's due to Kane Parsons, because my God, youngest director to ever get a movie to #1 at the box office. Proud Petaluma, California native. Love it.
Guest star on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
There we go. So here's the thing about The Backrooms, and honestly, Dragon, I do think that The Backrooms is a movie that you could watch. I really don't think there's anything in it that would really, because there's not even really jump scares in it. It's all vibes. the first half of the movie, when they are just exploring the back rooms, do you know enough about the concept of what the back rooms are?
Not really.
No, fuck, because it's complicated.
That would be
okay,
why, Tiki.
right. So oh god, how do I explain it? Anyone in the comments, help me out here. How do you explain the fucking back rooms? Because I don't know how to explain it.
But
Basically,
Tiki, if you have them do it,
well. Okay, so it's essentially like, oh god. You know what? I'm gonna have to. What are the back rooms? I'm so sorry.
What will Paragon think of you, Tiki? You're falling short of your film bro expectations.
Okay, the original backrooms emerged from a 2019 anonymous post. Okay, so basically it's like, oh god, so Dreg, essentially think of like a furniture store from the 90s, but completely empty, and how creepy that would be. And then just imagine if that went on forever. Just endless rooms upon rooms upon rooms of just, that kind of like sickly, like yellow greenish tinted walls. That's what the back rooms are. That's what the back rooms look like throughout. And hold on. Sorry. I keep hoping that someone's going to be in the comments to so Dragon, essentially it's a maze, it's a labyrinth. Essentially it's like, god, there's so much lore to it. It's hard to explain it, but essentially it's like this guy stumbles, like it's like, oh god, it's so fucking complicated, god damn it. This is riveting podcasting here, guys. This is fucking
okay. So from what I can glean from any of this, it's basically kind of like a deep lore internet thing of like, there was this back rooms, almost creepypasta-esque thing, and
yes,
it somehow took shape into a movie.
Yes. Let's see. So the concept is heavily rooted in the liminal space aesthetic. Locations feel transitional, abandoned, and unsettling because they lack human presence. Does that?
Okay, so far, yes, so far so good. What's the movie about?
Okay, so the movie is Chiwetel Ejiofor discovers a portal to the back rooms in his furniture store that's dying. Like the furniture store is like on its last legs. It's basically going out of business. And the thing is, this guy is not painted to be a good guy at the start of the movie. He's in a therapist session, and he basically goes off on his quote-unquote ex-wife. His therapist is playing his ex-wife in a role play sort of scenario. And you get the picture, like, this guy's kind of a son of a bitch. Like, this guy, the wife left him, and she left him for good reason. So essentially, he stumbles into the back rooms, and the catch is that he fucking loves it. Like, he views it as an escape from reality. It's almost kind of like an Alice in Wonderland sort of situation, all right? So the rest of the movie is essentially like him going into the back rooms, exploring it. He drags two of his employees with him to help document it. Things do not go well there. And then the movie cuts to the therapist. When the movie cuts to the therapist and it starts to follow her, that's honestly where it kind of lost me a little bit. She has an interesting backstory, but I do think there's like an infamous point in the movie where everyone who sees the movie, even people who like agree, who like really, really like it, they all agree. Once we get to the dinner scene, and I'm not going to tell you what the dinner scene is, you don't need to know what the dinner scene is. Once we get to the dinner scene, that's kind of it. The movie is kind of peaked and it's all downhill from here. Unfortunately, it becomes exactly what I didn't want it to become, which is just kind of like a vague exposition dump that doesn't really explain much, per se. I really don't like the last third of this movie, unfortunately. I really thought the last third of the movie kind of fell off. I love the first half, though. I think the production design is so on point. Like, the way that they do these rooms, and they're all practical. There's like furniture sticking out of the walls, furniture like bleeding into the floors. There are creatures in the back rooms, but like I said, I don't think it's anything that's too disturbing for you. There's no real jump scares involved. It's just a headspace movie. It's a headspace movie. I didn't love it, and I think that Obsession kind of overshadowed it. But I do really like the fact that because with Obsession, that's directed by Curry Barker, who is a big YouTube guy. Well, you know that I sent you some of his comedy shorts, and so it's really cool to have two like YouTubers who are like goddamn like a decade and a half younger than me, having so much success. And as much as I think The Mandalorian and Grogu is okay as a movie, I'd be lying if I wasn't like pumping my fist in the air when I said like, oh hell yeah! Not only did because everyone was like kind of like, oh yeah, the Backrooms it could knock off Mando and Grogu from the number one position, and that would be cool. And not only did it do that, but fucking Obsession in its third week of release knocked Mando and Grogu down to the third place. So yeah, just horror movies are having a moment, dude. Horror movies are having a moment. All right, even though I didn't love this one. Okay, so Good Omens 3. So yeah, this was kind of you know what I like about Good Omens 3, Dragon?
What?
Is that they're being honest about it, unlike Mandalorian and Grogu. They're like, yeah, this was supposed to be season 3, but we're making it a movie.
Yeah, so this one's kind of, I don't know, I really didn't know where I ended up on this because it's technically, it was a season turned into a movie, so I kind of counted it as a movie.
I feel like Mandalorian and Grogu is trying to pretend that that's not the case when it pretty clearly is.
Yeah, this one, you're right. This one's pretty honest about it, so I just kind of ultimately opted to kind of count it as a movie. So
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so Good Omens season 3.
Dragon, is it a movie? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so sadly, a story mired in controversy that we're not going to unpack here. The point is, but lessened given that the first season was an adaptation of that guy's work. The rest has always been kind of more of a celebration of the two leads and their chemistry and their in real life friendship. Michael Sheen and David Tennant. Again, they were always the sell of the show, and they were what worked so much about it. And like they kind of, to me, when I watched Good Omens, the first season I think is great, and probably from what I understand, adapts the book pretty well. But there's like one episode in the first season of Good Omens that really is just those two characters, and that's where the show really took off. And I found myself just kind of waiting for those two characters to come back throughout the first season. Then season 2, I feel course corrected. Well, we're out of our main story. Let's come up with something new. Like, hey, let's basically the whole show is centered around them. It was kind of still them in a side plot, but it was more of them. And we get to kind of this season 3 movie kind of, because there was a season 3. There was a plan for season 3 and got economized to a finale movie because they ended on a cliffhanger at season 2. And honestly, I think, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, just making sure. Okay. Anyway, so the finale movie, honestly, I think things kind of worked out for them, but crazy as it sounds, it basically, with that pattern, this movie's all Aziraphale and Crowley. Sorry, I keep wanting to say Crowley, but that's the whole gag of his name. Well, yeah, it's Crowley, but I'm saying it's spelled Crowley, but the gag in the show. Well, that's the thing. In the show, the gag is there's Crowley. It's pronounced. It's like the English pronunciation of Crowley, so it's Crowley.
Damn, I was reading the book wrong the whole time. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. It's spelled that way, but it's pronounced Crowley. Anyway, the point being, Crowley and Aziraphale, it's this great dynamic they have, and they're basically the stars of the movie, so it's all them, and that's they finally cracked the code. I'm like, okay, let's just make the story all about it. It's like the Abbott and Costello principle. Like, let's do Abbott and Costello Meet the Monsters instead of just like putting them in like buck privates and all this. Like, let's do the side plots with them instead of like, anyway. Yeah, so it they crack the code on it. It's one last really fun adventure, and the arc of the angel and the demon saving the world. Usually, it's from the apocalypse or circumstances that will lead to the apocalypse, and the kind of thing that season 2 is kind of building up that this movie pays off is they're trying to prevent the second coming, which basically means the end of everything. And that, so again, it's a great kind of, these guys always trying to prevent an apocalypse one way or another, and they're basically, it's kind of that coupled with they're trying to find Jesus, because again, with the whole second coming thing, Jesus is back, and that could be a problem, so they need to find this and nip it in the bud. And it's kind of like a what do you do when you're looking down the barrel of this biblical end times that we basically spent 3 seasons at this juncture now trying to say, like, there's no way of avoiding it, or you're going to have to face it one way or another. Like, how do you stop and protect the person you care about most, which of course is each other for them. So it's charming and clever, and it's charming with some really clever solutions by the end. It was very enjoyable. It reminds you of everything you liked about Good Omens, just distilled down to what worked about the show in the first place. They did a really good job with, like, under circumstances like this thing, it lucked out, man. This thing could have been like, oh man, they could have been a House of Cards situation, man, but it wasn't.
Well, fortunately, with this, the guy who turned out to be a fucking piece of shit was behind the camera, not in front of the camera.
Well, yeah, so we know what I mean, though. Could have turned out, we could have been really stuck with something that was like, oh man, look, it telegraphed like how rushed or how, like, it was very separated from all that. Good Omens in the first place, with how it went, it was very separated from all that anyway. So
All right, well, Dragon, it's time to talk about Mortal Kombat. So this is not going to take long. Carl Urban is great. Carl Urban plays Johnny Cage. He's basically like the way I would describe this character is essentially like the Ghost Rider, but as a movie star instead of a stuntman, and obviously without like the supernatural powers and shit. But so his character's great. He's like, and what I love about Johnny Cage in this movie is that they don't try and make him sexy. They don't try and make him like, like a current action star. Like, he is very washed up. Like, the first scene that he has in this movie honestly reminded me of the first scene in the Rescue Rangers movie, because he's just at a Comic-Con and he's getting like no attention, and like social media TikTok people are getting way more attention for him. You feel for him in that moment, you really do. But then the actual plot happens. My God, Dragon, did you know that Mortal Kombat has just so much lore? Just so much fucking lore.
I mean, I had a feeling it did.
This movie just throws so much at you. It's like, imagine just jumping into like the Boo arc of Dragon Ball with like no context. It's
that's something.
Yeah. So I was pretty lost. There is one really good fight scene involving a character who, God, I forget his name, but he's an alien type character, and he's got really, really cool practical makeup for his face. Really cool design there. Good fight scene. That's about it. The villain did absolutely nothing for me. The villain was very much generic, like, ooh, I'm a big bad guy, and I'm trying to take over the universe. The fight scenes are like, they're all right, but it's not like, it's not like a John Wick situation where the action's going to kind of carry the movie. Yeah, I don't know. I want to say I had fun with this because of Carl Urban, but really I just had some mild enjoyment of this when Carl Urban was on screen. So ultimately it fell a little flat for me, unfortunately.
Okay. Let me tell you about The Crash.
Now, just to clarify, Dragon, this isn't the 2005 controversial Best Picture winner, Crash.
No, Tiki, that's why the word "tha's" there.
Right. Yeah, I'll never forget the way that Jack Nicholson announced that, like, and the Oscar goes to Crash. Like, he sounds genuinely confused. Like when he reads it, he knows, like, oh, this is gonna start a shitstorm. Anyways, But yeah, go ahead. I'm very intrigued by this movie. I'll probably catch up with it this month.
This was a true crime documentary. Basically, it's around this seemingly innocuous kind of tragedy where I think these it was like the week of graduation. I don't know if they graduated or it's either happened right after they graduated, like the week of graduation. These three teens were in a car. They were hanging out like kind of the night before, like a night of. They're in a celebratory thing, and anyway, so they were partying and they ended up like driving. I don't mean like just by. I'm saying like they directly were, as the footage will show you at the top of this thing, the found footage element, drive directly into the side of a building. Like,
Mhm.
and it's basically, again, it's a tragedy with the suspicious, basically these suspicious circumstances. It becomes increasingly more suspicious with the circumstances as it is investigated, as the crash gets investigated. Like, people looking at, oh, well, if the vehicle failed, we have to kind of note that, and we have to investigate, this horrible accident. And they kind of realize that, wait a minute, certain things aren't lining up here. And we basically explore the parenting on the kids, and we kind of see, okay, these circumstances are tragic, but there's kind of a pattern emerging here, with one of the teens, perhaps. And what's interesting is that we kind of recontextualize a story where, okay, we kind of paint this character in a light, and then we add some circumstances like, wait a minute, maybe that excuses certain things, and maybe that doesn't make it as cut and dry, black and white as you would think. Like, basically, it turns in from a tragedy into a true crime thing right before your eyes, which is kind of interesting. It kind of starts off as that kind of documentary, like, and let's talk and we'll explore that. But there's like this wait a minute moment in the movie. It's interesting. It's not the usual Netflix true crime doc, which again you and I kind of tire of sometimes, where it's the usual like,
Yeah,
we're sensationalizing like all the serial killers or like the mass shooters or whatnot. We've because again, it's important to mix it up so it doesn't feel like Netflix is just cashing in on the business of death, and this is like one of those things where there's some intrigue there. I don't think it's it didn't like wow me let me this way. I'm not raving about it. I thought it was well done. I think it does what the intent is, and I think it tells the story pretty well. Just I don't know. It was kind of like. I don't know if it's going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I thought it was well done for what it was. So, it's something that you should probably check, especially you like The Perfect Neighbor, right?
The Perfect Neighbor, I would say, is probably like the one of the definitive like good Netflix true crime things.
So that's the thing. It's like I'd say it's worth watching along those lines. It's in terms of like them getting varied in like the true crimes. That you should give it a watch.
Sure. Cool. All right. So I'm going to speed run the next three. Speed run them. So we have the Sheep Detectives. I mean, this is charming. Like, the thing is, Dragon, when I saw the trailer for this movie, it literally felt like the second coming of Beverly Hills Chihuahua. It's like, what the fuck are we even doing here? But I tell you, man, I think the sheep are like, except for one, which I'll get into. Besides one, which I'll get into, the sheep are just kind of okay. They're just classic, like, stereotypical, like, cute animal characters. The adult cast, for the most part, carries the thing. Hugh Jackman is a shepherd who reads mystery novels to his herd of sheep. And so the herd of sheep gets really into the tropes of mystery novels. And then one day he gets murdered. And the herd of sheep has to figure out who did it using the cliches and tropes of mystery novels. And I think that's a decent enough premise. So Hugh Jackman is obviously great. You got Nicholas Braun, who plays the bumbling detective who's in charge of the case. This is a great performance from him, man. He's really straight. Like, he's kind of an idiot, but he's a lovable idiot. Like, he's very, he's a very likable guy who's just kind of a little bit in over his head. And I really, really like that about his character. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Let me, not exactly speed running here. Sorry. I'm just trying to make sure, so, I mean, he's really the standout as far as the human characters go. Let me tell you about the standout as far as the sheep go. Bryan motherfucking Cranston, dude.
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston. Now, you know me, Dragon. You know me. I've been kind of critical about Bryan Cranston's career post Breaking Bad. I don't think he's done a lot of stuff that's really wowed me. This, unironically, might be one of the best post Breaking Bad Bryan Cranston performances, Dragon. As ridiculous as that sounds, you owe it to yourself to see the movie for that alone, to the point where I don't even want to give away his character. I don't even really want to say what his character is, because a lot of the details of his character kind of count as a spoiler. But yeah, Bryan Cranston kind of steals this whole movie, and it's a wonderful voice performance. I think it's a much better voice performance, and like I like him in Isle of Dogs, but I feel like in Isle of Dogs, he's basically just kind of playing a version of himself as a dog. Here he's playing an actual character, and it's great, and it's compelling, and there's a lot of layers to it. So yeah, surprisingly a really, really good movie. It's not like, I don't think it's going to go down as a classic like Babe or something like that, but it's good. It's very solid. All right, I love Boosters. Dragon, now, did you ever see the movie from a few years ago, Sorry to Bother You?
Yes.
Okay. This is done by the same director, and unfortunately it kind of has similar problems where I love the first half. The first half is very high concept, very interesting. And then the second half kind of falls off of a cliff because it gets way too weird for its own good. So with I Love Boosters, the premise is that Keke Palmer, who's wonderful in this, I love me some Keke Palmer generally. She plays the ringleader of a group of women who are essentially professional shoplifters for this brand. Basically, like for this, they target this like kind of like Lululemon style, like celebrity like fashion boutique. And Demi Moore plays the celebrity who owns the boutique, and she's good too. She's solid. She's a villain, and but the whole thing is that this movie has this very heightened reality to it. The color grading in this movie is fucking spectacular. Like, when we're living in a world where a lot of like color just seems to get sapped out of movies, it's all a bunch of like the same like gray blobby textures and stuff. This movie pops, man. There is so much color in this movie, and it pops. It looks wonderful. I love the score in this thing. The score is done by a band called Tune Yards, which I actually saw live quite a few years ago. So that was a really cool kind of full circle moment for me as a music fan. But about halfway through this goddamn movie, much like the horse shit with Sorry to Bother You, Dragon.
But literal in that case.
Yes, it gets weird, and it gets way too weird for its own good. And I don't even want to try and explain the weirdness. It's just like, wait, what are we doing? And then suddenly there's this whole subplot about like Asian factory workers, and it's trying to make this big political statement about that and workers' rights. And I'm like, okay, like Boots Riley, the director, dude, my guy, you clearly have a problem where you set up stuff really well. You set up stuff well. But you can't stick to landing, dude. Boots Riley cannot stick to landing. Boots Riley gets in his own way when it comes to how fucking overly convoluted and weird he lets his stuff get. So I think it's worth seeing just for the production design and the score. Will Poulter has a really memorable supporting role. Love me some Will Poulter as well. The cast overall is pretty good, pretty solid. But essentially, once the weird shit starts happening, I swear to God, you could just turn it off. It goes that off the rails, unfortunately. All right, which is a big disappointment, man, because when I was watching it in the theater, I was fucking loving it. I was into the back rooms in the first half, right? Like, I was into it in the first half, and then it kind of fell off. I was loving this movie in the first half, and then it fell off. So it's an even bigger disappointment in that regard. All right. And finally, we have Hokum, which is yet another like scariest horror movie ever that came out in May of this year. And unfortunately, unlike Obsession, I think this one's pretty overhyped. The way I would describe this movie, Dragon, is it's essentially an escape room movie where the lead character gets locked in, like he's going to this like really creepy old Irish hotel. And I believe he's an author and he's doing research. It's kind of a very like young Stephen King sort of thing, right? Like I'm going to a haunted hotel to do research on my latest novel. And he gets locked in the honeymoon suite. And bad shit has gone down in the honeymoon suite. And he has to deal with said bad shit throughout the night. And there's also a murder mystery on top of that. Like when he's in the honeymoon suite, he sees one of the hotel workers who, it wasn't really a romance, but she was nice to him. She was one of the few people who was nice to him. And she's dead and she was murdered. And so he has to deal with the ghost. He has to figure out the murder. Good setup. And a lot of people love this thing. I just didn't find it scary. I thought it was pretty slow. Like there's like a witch in this movie that's like the main horror villain, and a lot of people are like swearing by like, oh my god, the witch is so scary. I'm like, it didn't do anything for me, man. So unfortunately, this is just kind of like, much like humor is subjective, I feel like what scares you can also be subjective, and I just did not get scared by this thing, unfortunately. Let's see, anything else I'm missing from it? I mean, Andrew Scott plays the main character, and he's great. Like Andrew Scott, he's not my boy status yet, but he's kind of getting there. He's been putting in consistently good work. What I love about his character is that he is very outwardly a dick. He is just an asshole through and through. And Dragon is essentially the closest thing that we're ever going to get to a biopic about young Stephen King intentionally locking himself in hotel rooms and giving himself bad acid trips. Like that's essentially what the movie comes down to. So, yeah. Not my thing, not my favorite, definitely not going to wind up on any like end of the year list for me. But it has been getting a lot of hype, so more power to you. I'm always supporting horror stuff, even if it's not typically my thing. Alrighty, moving right along, we are going to get into sorry. Banners, TV, and Dragon, I'm going to warn you, just for the sake of the flow here, I unfortunately did not get around to Untold the Liver King. I saw the Vinnie Jones one. I did not get around to the Liver King. So just so you know.
Great. Okay.
Sorry. And I am subscribed to Disney Plus, so I'm going to catch up on Daredevil. I'm going to catch up on Punisher. Obviously, I'm going to watch The Bear when that comes out. That's like the main reason for me getting back into Disney Plus. I didn't know that I knew that Spider Noir was airing. I didn't know that it had already finished. So I'll definitely catch up on it. So there's a lot of stuff this month that I need to catch up on. So with that in mind, Dragon, just go through it. Just power through it.
Okay. All right. So Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Love this. It didn't have the baggage of Season 1. This was like a proper taste of what a Daredevil Season 4 could have been. Again, it was this, honestly, if you look, having seen all of Season 2, you look back on it, it kind of looks like it was kind of, in some sense, intentionally or no, it was kind of designed to complement, Season 1, where Season 1 is very much, the whole Matt Murdock returning to the mantle story. In Season 2, this season's very much Kingpin. Kingpin has a lot of big character developments happening with Kingpin. I will say this, Bullseye stole the show with Episode 4. Episode 4 is one of the biggies. It's a big turning point episode. It's a big episode. It's great. And it's got a great set piece in it. But the opening of the episode is Bullseye, and it is flawless in every way. I'm just so pleased that people are really kind of falling in love with Bullseye.
I've heard really good things about Bullseye. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. People are starting. It's the fact that you and I, like all the people I really cared about, like the Netflix Daredevil, and especially the third season. Like I knew like Bullseye was gonna be great, assuming we could get him.
I don't care
We
what
hadn't.
anyone says. I think season 3 is even better than season 1, in my opinion.
That I can't co-sign, but I will say they're
I
both
know,
great.
I know.
Anyway, so very this season, Daredevil he becomes a symbol. He's inspiring New York. We see Kingpin at his most unhinged, and it is scary.
Mhm.
Jessica Jones she re-enters the MCU proper.
That's awesome. I need to catch up on that specifically.
There is an element of Marvel kind of wish fulfillment with her. I will say that much in terms of like, well, it's with her and presumably some stuff that's going to come attached with her. There's going to be like, okay, we're going to do the stuff that, which is basically what I wanted. The promise of the Netflix shows coming back was like, okay, look, if they come back, we're gonna do the stuff, the few things we didn't do in the Netflix show that we can do with the MCU kind of backing us, and
Mhm.
that's pretty much what was promised is kind of delivered here, at least the beginnings of being delivered. It's bold. They have a very bold and awesome ending. I do not want to spoil for you. They so far, there are plans for season three. It's confirmed. They've been filming it this year. Um, the ending, the word on it hasn't been officially said because the showrunners are very optimistic. Well, look, if they want us to keep making it, we'll make it. The viewership's there and everything. Sadly, the viewership was not there because of the climate of streaming now. Uh, Sadly, but they've been doing such a great job. There's an argument to be made that season three could be the finale only because like the way the story's going, the storytelling so far has been so good, and like it seems like they might be building towards an ending with season three, and then anything beyond with Daredevil or Kingpin or whoever will be through other means, like a
Mhm.
potential spin-off and a let's just say
Or
let's
just
say a
continuing their story in the movies potentially.
exactly. Let's see.
Mhm.
Mainly in the movie, mainly in the movies. Let's just say there might be a spin-off they're flirting with, which I desperately hope gets made. I
Mhm.
will say that much. Anyway, point being, there's a lot of potential there. So briefly, the kind of the epilogue to Born Again season two was the Marvel special presentation they did for the Punisher. Punisher, one last kill. So sadly, I will clip your wings here, Tiki. Sadly, not Punisher killing off the task force guys, as I think we all hoped. But
Mhm.
it's a great one shot. Only issue I have with it, I think the only kryptonite to this thing is that we seem to be stuck in a cycle of the Punisher. He is Bernthal wrote this. I think he wrote the heck out of it. I think he did a good job with this. But we're in this cycle of the Punisher, dedicating himself to the war on crime thing, and it's just the thing where we ended Punisher season two with him doing that, and that's where we picked up with him in Born Again season one, and we kind of go back to the well a little bit here, and you could argue a little bit like, okay, well, there was some unfinished business that we've retroactively given him, and then he's gonna go back to his mission. But anyway. Bernthal's performance is the reason you got to watch this, man.
Mhm.
Um, Also, the direction on the violence set to some really. There's a great needle drop with this fantastically violent sequence that happens. We have a oneer, but it's a psychological oneer, which is great. And we do a little wish film that I have. One of the last ones I think we set up in Punisher, but we never really did. The Nucci crime family with Ma Nucci, who was Garth Ennis' character.
Mhm.
Anyway, this thing feels very much like a pilot for a Punisher revival, which, based on how good this turned out, I would really hope happens. And I will also it was an unfun podcast with uh well, sorry, I'll get that. Sorry, I'll get to that later. Point being, Rohit and I disagreed a little bit on this, but I liked it.
Okay, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
All right, Untold, Vinnie Jones. Do you watch this?
I did.
Okay. I look, I liked it. I was kind of hoping it would go more into the whole like transitioning into the actor thing, just because obviously you and I know him more as an actor. I was hoping we'd at least get a shot of Galavante. We really didn't.
Yeah.
But no, it was still a good story. I think Vinnie Jones himself is a very compelling interview and a very compelling screen presence. So I like that element quite a lot. The sports stuff, like, it's sports. So it's like there's only there's going to be a barrier of entry for me a little bit. But I do think it was compelling. I think it was well done. It's definitely not the most engaged I've ever been with one of these untold things, but I thought it was worth watching. Pretty cut
I
and
mean, look,
dry.
long and short I have of this is that basically we kind of confirm the long held, to some extent, we kind of confirm the long held belief that Roy Kent from Ted Lasso is pretty much Vinnie Jones, more or less.
Right.
The idea that we even have this moment in the little docu-series thing where we have everyone kind of laughing at Vinnie Jones, like as like a chant, and that's kind of a thing they do in Ted Lasso with Roy Kent. Like they have like special chants for certain footballers.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's kind of a behind the scenes look at how press goes into like the fame and kind of the danger of buying into your own press. It's kind of I think the cautionary tale that we see here, and we learned that Guy Ritchie gave him his first big break, which I did not know.
I did know that.
Yeah. And he's been sober since 2013. Yay, Vinny.
Mm-hmm.
And made over 100 films, which is impressive. So
yeah.
Okay.
All right. Pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh God, Maul Shadow Lord Dragon. Must we have more Darth Maul? Or have we not told enough Darth Maul stories at this point? I ask you, does the series actually warrant its own existence?
Yes, it does. Boy, does
Okay.
it. This was
fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Of course, this is the Dave Filoni animated Darth Maul show. Again, it's kind of bridging and kind of fleshing out that 3.5 era of Star Wars I really like to see in terms of the exploration. It's again, it's very genre bendy. It's very much kind of like a crime story in Star Wars kind of thing. But there's a lot going on beyond that. But it's kind of has like that's kind of the main for introductory episode is very much like we're in kind of like a crime story in Star Wars, which is always kind of like a fun niche that we've explored from time to time in Star Wars. And basically, we see how long and short of it is we're seeing how Maul rose to kind of bridging into the criminal underworld. How he kind of ended up running a lot of the criminal underworld.
Mm-hmm.
Which basically he was directing to kind of take down the Emperor, who he hates for all the Clone Warsy stuff that happened. Anyway, he basically, and so a lot of this, apparently, what Star Wars fans are really loving about this Maul show is it's adapting kind of one of the novels. I think it's adapting kind of this. Not the novels. George Lucas had plans for Maul, and this show is basically adapting a lot of those plans that George Lucas had for Maul, which I think a lot of people are excited about, from what I hear. But he takes this Jedi under his wing, which is really interesting. Basically, a Jedi in the fall that you kind of keeping their head down, trying to avoid. It's kind of like a Cal Kestis kind of situation, a little bit. Kind of like it's more. Yeah, you saw Rebels. It's a little bit. Let's just say we have kind of an Ezra and kind of Kanan kind of Jedi pairing, and he kind of seeks an opportunity to take this Jedi under his wing, so he can use this as like kind of his own kind of Sith Padawan thing to go up against the Emperor. It's good. It's pretty standalone. Even if you don't know, we have an episode that kind of like some brief flashes of Maul's backstory, which kind of catches you up. And it was very well done. Richard Ayoade has a really great droid character in this. Two Boots. Mm-hmm. Hey, Diki, guess why they call him Two Boots?
Why?
Because he wears two boots.
Wow. Amazing.
That's cute, though. Anyway. So the climax of the season is why everyone has to watch the show, Tiki. I'm going to put it to you this way, all right? The climax to this season and the last episode, it is awesome and very Duel of the Fates. I'm talking like we did a Duel of the Fates battle.
Okay, that's cool.
And
everyone loves the last confrontation with Obi-Wan and Rebels, and that's great. It's great character stuff. It's a lightsaber duel that obviously harkens back to the original trilogy. Yeah. A full-blown, like, fully choreographed lightsaber battle. That's also something that'd be cool to see, for sure.
It was, I don't want to spoil it, but it was they did something like, kind of like, a matchup you've always wanted to see, and it was really good. And anyway, sets up a season 2, which I believe is, I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed, and it looks like it's going to be pretty good. It was, I recommend the Maul Shadow Lord show. I thought it was really well done. Okay.
All
Okay,
right, so skipping over the Liver King. Did you see the Liver King?
No, I did not. I did not see the Liver King.
Okay. So The Boys season 5.
Well, do we want to talk about the one that you and I both did, or do we want to like?
Yeah,
Just
we can do that. I mean, I only saw the first season. I assume you saw the whole thing, right?
I did. So,
Okay,
well,
so
let's talk about
Brockmire.
Brockmire.
Dragon, it's not my thing. I gave it a chance. It's
Really?
not my thing,
Oh
honestly.
man.
Now look, I love Hank Azaria, and Hank Azaria is great. But to me, he's pretty much the only thing that I kind of attached to in this series. I mean, I don't know, man. I didn't really get into I haven't watched Ted Lasso, but the whole thing kind of feels like a reheated Ted Lasso in a lot of ways. I don't like a lot of the side characters, Dragon. Like a lot of like the kangaroo court stuff kind of lost me because it's just all these people are just being super petty. Like it's just very. It's funny because it's obviously like we were talking about the Big Bang Theory and the spin-offs and stuff, and it's like this isn't like shot like a laugh track sitcom, and it doesn't actually have the laugh track, but man, it feels like a laugh track sitcom just as far as like I just thought the side characters and everything were just way too broad. That was my problem with it. That was my main problem with it, is that it just got way too broad for my taste. Whereas I think that with the character, like the initial setup is great. Like I was very hooked by the initial setup, but I don't know. I just didn't love it. I honestly kind of forced myself to finish it, if I'm being completely honest with you. I'm sorry. I know that's disappointing.
So look, so Brockmire. My take on Brockmire, I thought it's an AMC show starring Hank Azaria as basically this parody of kind of like the kind of the sportscaster at a baseball game. Basically, kind of the sportscaster kind of thing, where basically a sportscaster, so long as they call the plays, they can say anything they want, in between, which is really funny, and this thing that Hank Azaria kind of perfected, and he's been doing in like the IFC kind of channels, and like it's been kind of popularized on YouTube, and eventually I think got itself okayed for a show. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is exactly how it went, but I know they kind of did like a lot of internet kind of marketing, during the original thing of the show. I look back on research wise, but it is basically he cultivated this character and they got a show. And again, I love the premise. His wife cheats on him with an orgy, and it leads to this hilarious kind of Chicago sunroof-esque meltdown in sports. It's great, like to get out on the same page at least that far. I mean, I could show anyone. I think the pilot's really right. I think you can show anyone just that opening scene, which is on YouTube. You show anyone that opening scene, I think they're going to be at least intrigued. I wonder where this is going.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like that's an AMC like show pitch to me, and I love that. Basically, it's kind of a redemption. It's a comeback story. He's starting from the bottom and he's hoping to kind of go back to the big leagues and kind of redeem himself. It's not Ted Lasso. I will tell you that the way the rest of the seasons go, it's definitely not Ted Lasso. Okay. As far as the side characters thing go, I mean, I think there's really not that many. He's the central focus, and you have like maybe like two side characters.
Well, it's everyone on the team, Dragon. I didn't attach myself to anyone on the team.
You don't really need to. All you have is really a rebate. Everyone else is really pretty much no names.
So
that's the thing. That side character thing doesn't. I think you really dial in on the kangaroo court thing maybe a little more than you needed to. It's just one episode, but
but the thing is, that episode came after the big sex episode, and so at that point I'm just like, okay, this show is just not for me, I guess.
Fair enough. Well, so overall, let me just give you a taste of like where it went. Okay, having watched the whole show, and again, folks, I always meant to get the Brockmire because I love Hank Azaria, and they always had like an interesting looking like thumbnail on Netflix. I always meant to watch it. But I was then so disheartened, like leaving soon. I had to cram it all into this month just to make sure I got it in there. So season 1, straightforward premise, character growth, ends on kind of a fork in the road choice for the Brockmire character. Season 2, impressively different location, different kind of main pairing. It's him and the Charles character. In a completely different location, and it's the addiction season. We're looking into Brockmire's drinking problem, and there's other addictions. It's like it goes off the rails in a big way, kind of like beyond Pinkman levels. He goes on like a binge like you've never seen before, knowing how wild this guy's time in the Philippines was.
Mhm.
That's saying something. So season 2 is interesting. It's kind of the dark season. It's a season that really goes dark by the end of it. Then season 3, this was great. This is the Brockmire attempting sobriety, and he has a shot at the big leagues, and it's an uplifting season. He's things are the season ends in a really good place for him, and it is a thing where if the show didn't go on, you would have had a really solid ending there. It wouldn't have been definitive, but it would have been like you can kind of fill in the blanks from there. And then we get season 4. Now, season 4 apparently was the really divisive season. I heard that, like, I kind of read some reviews briefly, and it's like, oh man, season 4 was like that. Like, we love the first 3 seasons. Season 4, yeah. Season 4, having watched it, it is it's very out there. Okay, it is not for everyone. Anyone who didn't like season 4, I completely understand why they didn't like season 4. It does one of your favorite things. They're time jumps. It time jumps to the 2030s.
Oh, interesting.
Which is it? So when they shot this, okay, if I have it right, so the show ended in 2020, but I want to say they finished right before the pandemic, and it aired in 2020. I think that's how it went down. It kind of addresses, like, kind of in a Nostradamus way, it addresses the pandemic and kind of the problems of the world. But that's the thing. I can't say, it doesn't really outline it says viruses and all sorts of world-ending kind of stuff has happened. It's not an apocalypse, but it's like, it's a logical extrapolation of the stuff Brockmire had always been kind of ranting.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. This show is absolutely more than just Ted Lasso again. That's I would have never expected that from the first season, that it would go in so many different weird directions like that.
Yeah, the show's great, man. It goes in places that it has a progression that I think you would have liked. Anyway, so like season 4 is out there, but again, I like where it ends. I think it ends in a decent place. It's a departure for sure, but as far as the departure goes, I mean, it's a bold swing versus all like the last season kind of things we usually go to. So it was interesting. Okay.
All right. So the boy, you want to just speed run these next few? I mean, you don't have to speed run them per se, but it's all you, boy. It's all you.
Okay, so The Boys, season 5. So the final season to the finale to The Boys. I think with an ending in sight, it kind of motivated them, and that was always the appeal of The Boys. That so rarely do we have superhero properties that are designed with endings in mind, and that's kind of what we have with Invincible, and that's what we have with The Boys. Of course, Invincible, let's just say the odds are more in that show's favor. The Boys being based on kind of I don't want to be mean, but kind of a flawed source material that was very much designed around shock value. And the show, let's say season 4 had shock value moments. I think it kind of did too much of the comic, but that's just, anyway. So this season, I feel, kept things more focused and was way better than season 4 in comparison. Now, reflecting on it, there are definitely flaws. And let's just say it was a long podcast with Rohit. That was not the enjoyable sort for me. But there are intrinsic flaws. Basically, what Rohit and I are going to get into in our long kind of coverage of it is that there were intrinsic flaws in the series that really kind of came out with the direction of the show after the first 2 seasons. That really kind of became apparent in season 4, and I think they're kind of also, when you think back on the show, which is kind of what the whole final season is intended to make you think on, you kind of realize, well, maybe certain things didn't line up or could have been better, and so that kind of put a damper on it. But what really hurt is like all the spin-offs and the plans and everything going to get factored into this season. That's basically the punchline of The Boys, the sad, tragic punchline of The Boys is that for a show that was founded on making fun of how superhero franchises and films and the MCU and all this was going and big corporations, ultimately it kind of became that, with like Vought Plus and all this and having its actual spin-offs that are in the works and everything, and Gen V and all this, it kind of became what it parodied by the end. But again, it made fun of Amazon and became Amazon ultimately by the last season, which is kind of sad given how strong it was from the outset. But the performances are great. I want to be very clear. Performances are very good. The best scene of possibly the whole series, but the best scene of the season, man. If you never intend on watching the show, you got to watch this scene, Tiki. It's Paul Reiser and Homelander. So Paul Reiser played the Legend, played the Stan Lee parody of the Boys universe. It's basically, what if Stan Lee had a scene with kind of your Superman and or Captain America figure, but it was psychotic.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, I was satisfied with the ending at the Oval Office, which bases from the comic, and I feel we kind of economized it pretty well. I think we did it solidly. I hear the criticism. It's mostly from Rohit. I hear the criticism. Jensen Ackles, Soldier Boy, I think he did a lot of the heavy lifting, and I think I really carried the season. If it didn't work for you, if Soldier Boy didn't work for you, you're really not going to like the last season. So it was a mixed bag, to say the least. So there you go. Let's see which one. Ah, yes. Okay, Spider Noir. Spider Noir, Tiki, you gotta watch Spider Noir.
Oh, I know I do. Like I said, I was fully planning on watching it after the whole thing was out. I just didn't realize the whole thing was out already.
Yeah, I was surprised by it too. I thought it was going to be week to week. And happy birthday to me, because it came out on my birthday. It's like, hey, it's all there.
Mm-hmm.
So I streamed it. It streamed all at once. Best, as far as the not counting the animated Spider-Verse films or just the mainline Spider-Man films, best Sonyverse thing they've ever done.
Nice,
you know,
nice.
it easily, again, mind you, the bar is extremely low. But with that said, I had a feeling going into this we wouldn't have to worry like we did. I love seeing that. Yeah, we don't have to worry about this one. Again, they had, for two reasons, being Spider-Man Noir, and overall with this show, they used wiggle room in all the right ways. Where, okay, apparently within all the stupid contractual things with Spider-Man, beyond it just being like kind of basically because it's on Amazon, technically Sony Television made the show, so Sony is involved in this. But I don't know, between it being on Amazon, but also the fact that apparently Spider-Man, he cannot smoke or drink. Because of that, we named the character Ben Reilly, which was in the marketing thing. This is not a surprise. They called him Ben Reilly instead of Peter Parker. Spider-Verse movie, it's Peter Parker, because he's just drinking egg creams. He's fine. But here, anyway, but again, everything they used to combat these like provisos made sense, and it actually worked to the advantage of the show. Okay, he's Ben Reilly, but there's a line in the show that basically implies that, he changed his name and he's the only one who knows his identity, which is kind of cool the way they put that. Kind of cool the way you think about that, and makes sense. And like that's a way of getting around. Ben Reilly is like the clone identity from Spider-Man comics. If you're going to give him any other name, that is the name to give him. It's just a lot of, again, the biggest thing all these stupid Sonyverse spin-off things had against them. No Spider-Man. We actually have a Spider-Man. Why isn't he called Spider-Man? Because we can't clear it. Is Spider Noir great? Calling him the Spider in the show, does that make sense? Absolutely it does. Watch, they offer you black and white. They offer you color. Watch it in color. Watch it in black and white. I mean, the color version, I'm sure looked good. Again, the Technicolor vibe, I like that. Gives you an option. We're not forcing on you like Ted Turner did in the deep past. We're not doing that. Nick Cage, fantastic. Again, I love the show, man. Is it verbatim the comic? No. Is it a great tribute to the comic and just Nick Cage's Spider Noir? Yes, I think it's great. The story is straightforward. It leaves you wanting more, but if it's a one-off, you're gonna be great. You're gonna be in good shape. It's we had Spider-Man villains. We had to go deep cuts on one or two of them, but that like my only gripe in this show is that we had a few powered villain characters and we couldn't, like, we don't have Molten Man, but we have a fire guy, that kind of stuff, but that's quibbling. Again, given like all the other clever things they did to work around just how true they were to the story they were telling, and it didn't feel like the first time I was watching a Sony thing and I wasn't thinking, and if only we could have done this,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lastly, real quick, The Rookie season 8 continues to be a great cop show. With an audience. Bradford got promoted to a watch commander. It's a little manufactured drama here and there with their love stories, but it's overall solid writing compared to how other shows kind of tackle that sort of thing. Big and crazy event episodes here and there. Like we have a prisoner transport flight thing that was really impressive. And we end on a big cliffhanger, which show fans are not happy about because they're going to have to wait for it. But, the show continues. Has not lost a step, so that is good. Okay.
Okay, cool. All right. Moving on to some ketchup. Oh, man. All right. We got so let's go through these first two really quick because you and I both did them, and obviously we did full podcasts about them. We have Lupin the Third, Castle of Cagliostro, and Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind, that we both watched for the first time.
I had seen Nausicaa.
Oh, my bad. So you want to start with Lupin then?
Yeah, you and I had both seen. Now, sorry, neither of us had seen Lupin. We've experienced it for the first time. Miyazaki's directorial debut, fantastic movie. Miyazaki we see the magic of Miyazaki's kind of sprinkled in here, which of course would bloom into a field of Totoros down the line. I love he gave Lupin just such a cinematic scope. I love the music of this movie so much. Isn't the music great?
Yeah.
It's a great adventure caper.
No, it's I mean, for a Miyazaki movie, what I like about it is that it's an outlier, but like in a good way. It's like obviously one of the most straightforward movies that he ever made. But I feel like it's very accessible, even for people who like know nothing about Lupin the Third. Like, I am very tangentially aware of Lupin the Third. I think my awareness of Lupin the Third is basically like I caught a few episodes here and there randomly late at night on on Adult Swim Toonami. But no, it's really good. It's got great great action, great sense of action, great sense of physics, cartoon physics, but done in a really cool, creative way. I mean, there's just not a lot to not like about this thing. It's just really solid overall. Very impressive directorial debut, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right, now Nausicaa you saw for the first time.
Nausicaa, on the other hand, the animation is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Look, man, it's so frustrating with Nausicaa because I really do think the first third of it is very compelling, and then the more we get into the plot and the more we get into like the politics of everything, the less compelling it gets. And by the end, the ending is just like a mess, and we've got the prophecy stuff that is just stupid and dumb, and the ending is a non-ending. And so, I mean, look, we've said it before, we'll say it again. This is, it's definitely worth watching for the animation, but across the board, you, me, and Jacob, we both kind of thought this was at the bottom of our Miyazaki rankings.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
All right. Ballerina.
So this is the John Wick spinoff and kind of mid-cool with Ana de Armas. So I thought it was very well directed. I thought it had some great action. Admittedly, the timeline's a little fuzzy because it takes place between John Wick's 3 and 4, and it's kind of like a head scratcher. Like, well, how does that work? John Wick, like, how's he getting these globetrotting, and he's recovering from the end of 3. We kind of see the scene in 3, but how much time passes between that scene and then we're somehow in John Wick 4, I don't know. So admittedly, I think they could have done some due diligence there. It's a revenge story, tracks pretty well. Being in the world of John Wick has always been great. The Continental is the draw. We explore, the Russian origins of John Wick a little bit, and kind of, I don't know if it's the Bratva, but it's kind of something akin to the Bratva. John Wick is from, and which is interesting. We throw a bit of a twist in the story towards, like, I guess the end, or like kind of getting into Act 3, and it's kind of it's just kind of thrown there. He doesn't really take away, doesn't add, it's just kind of there. But again, it's a cool action movie. That was a better spinoff than that stupid Continental prequel show they did, which really let me down. Because again, with the whole franchise being built around how cool the Continental is, that show really could have been a lot better. So this, and it's also some last looks at Sharon, Lance Reddick's last performance, and of course John Wick just kind of popping up in it, despite where we are with him in the franchise. So yeah,
cool. All right, GOAT. This was it's just okay. I mean, it's very much every every kind of like sports underdog story you could think of, but they're animals, and the animation is Spider-Verse style. Ooh. Dragon, this was the first movie that I've seen, the first animated movie that I've seen where I'm like, okay, you know what? You can't just do the Spider-Verse style and expect us to be wowed by it anymore. Like you have to bring something more to the table, because honestly, I really didn't like the look of this movie. Like, I was talking about I love boosters with the color palette and everything. It's not to say this movie doesn't have color in it, but the environments in this movie, man, the environments really stood out to me, especially compared to something like Zootopia, which obviously this movie is trying to kind of mimic. And Zootopia, one of the best elements of those movies, I don't love either of those movies per se, but one of the best elements of those movies is the setting, is the environment. And the environment here is just, it's muddy, it's dull, it's not very detailed. Look, I mean, it's like, I like the main character all right enough, the goat, the titular goat. And I do think the dynamic that he had, like, there are some interesting twists. Like, for example, you think that the villain is going to be like the hotshot player on the team that the goat is recruited to, but it turns out being someone else. And then the player that you think is going to be the villain ends up developing a really nice, solid relationship with the goat. That's nice. That was a good kind of character dynamic. Much like Brockmire, there's a lot of characters on the team where it's like they're just kind of there. Like, for example, there's an ostrich on the team, and I didn't even, like, by the end of the movie, I was like, oh, like, her wanting to fly was a plot point? Okay. Like, it's just kind of nothing characters a lot of the time. Like I said, I think my main issue with this movie, which sucks because it is the Spider-Verse style, and obviously we've seen with stuff like Mitchell's versus the Machines where you don't need to do Spider-Man to have the Spider-Verse style look really, really good. This just didn't, though, man. I mean, it's like the character designs I'm not a fan of, the backgrounds and the settings especially I'm not a fan of. Some decent plot and character stuff, but that's about it. It was honestly, for a movie that I didn't have super high expectations for, it still kind of let me down a little bit. So, yeah, that's rather unfortunate.
Yeah. All right, Dust Bunny.
Dust Bunny.
Yeah, so this was Brian Fuller, the guy who did Hannibal. He reteamed with Mads Mikkelsen for this grounded fantasy film, which is interesting. Mads Mikkelsen was on the Inside of You podcast at Rosenbaum and really talked this movie up, and I had been curious about it because I'd seen it, I'd heard about it, I'd seen like the poster for it, and I kind of heard like rumors of it. Of course, you and I love Mads Mikkelsen, and it was just kind of a charming concept from what I was kind of told about it, and ultimately it is a charming concept. It's kind of a charming yet dark kind of concept. It's not a horror movie, but it has a lot of horror movie elements you might like. It's basically, it's built around. I guess the premise of the movie is you haven't seen this, right?
No.
Okay. Long and short of it is a little girl like has a monster under her bed. Like if you touch the floor, the monster's going to get you, and it eats her parents.
Mm-hmm.
Like actually eats her parents, and she basically hires a hitman, which is Mads Mikkelsen, to kill the monster under her bed. It's kind of so I think it's high concept for sure. Maybe, and Brian Fuller's known for his high concept stuff with Hannibal, but maybe he goes a little too high concept in places. There's a lot of chemistry with him and the little girl. Sigourney Weaver's in it. Dave DeSmulchin's in it. Not so much action as I expected. I think that might have made it just a skosh better, but it was interesting. I will say that much. So not really a lot to write home about. I'm not going to say I was disappointed, but expected maybe just a little more.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We're moving right along. Dinner in America. Okay, this was a movie night pick. Complete indie film, like nobody in it that you would recognize, but I loved it, Dragon. This is such a rock solid slice of life movie. The premise is basically that you've got the main character is this like really, really abrasive, like punk rock guy. And he starts the movie off where he's at this super awkward dinner with his girlfriend, and it goes so south that he ends up almost burning the house down out of sheer punk rebellion. Dinners are obviously going to be like a running motif in this movie, hence the title. So he's on the run from the cops. He runs into this young woman. She's very nerdy. She's coded as autistic, even though I don't think the movie technically labels her as that. And long and short of it is that she's, in spite of her being very socially awkward and this dude being like very abrasive and punk, they form this fucking adorable relationship that just melts your heart, just absolutely melts your heart. It's one of those things where it's like, you know, like she is super good for him. He is super good for her. Like, you know, he makes her come out of her shell. She grounds him. And they're both kind of like outcast to society in different ways. And they complement each other. And they go on little anarchy adventures. And they end up at this punk show in the climax. And it's so good, Dragon. It's so good. I mean, it's, you know, I know I'm not really selling it that great because it's really not a movie that has a bunch of like high stakes or big set pieces, obviously, but man, as just a slice of life, you don't get much better than this as a slice of life movie. Honestly, I really loved it. All right, and last off, take us out.
Okay, last one. In Search of Tomorrow, the definitive 80s sci-fi documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was looking around, and this was on Tubi. And Tubi, of course, has been skyrocketing lately because it's been getting a lot of the old classic cartoons and kind of like fully, kind of looking through it these days. I've been seeing a whole bunch of documentaries that have been added there, and this was one of them. I always wanted to see In Search of Tomorrow. It's Oliver Harper and Company. Producers, they were involved in this, and they've been involved in a lot of these big, all-encompassing 80s documentaries, like Last Action Heroes and In Search of Darkness. In Search of Tomorrow is one I always wanted to see, but I never had the opportunity to until now. Man, I like this so much more than the In Search of Darkness horror movie one. This was so much better. I love this, man. This is my bread and butter. Like the lengthy. This is like a 4.5 hour documentary, but it's good.
Damn,
practically
like
fun.
One almost.
What?
It's like the Elm Street documentary.
I mean, yes, but it's pretty much, but it's going by every year in the decade. But yeah.
Okay.
That's the structure. It's very comprehensive. It sold me a lot of sci-fi films I had not seen before, which was interesting. And that thing, it covers them briefly, but it covers a lot of them. And again, it's like goes through every decade and kind of covers all the big sci-fi films, including like the classics like Back to the Future, RoboCop, etc. Uh-huh. But also stuff like Flight of the Navigator, which
you knew about Flight of the Navigator, right?
Yeah, but I never knew the
big element of Flight of the Navigator.
Yes, I know that. Yes, yeah, but I never knew the premise of the movie though. The premise sold me. I got to check out Flight of the Navigator being the operative point here. It even covered Mac and Me.
Oh God! Oh my God!
That's what I'm saying. They covered everything, Tiki. Great.
But did they cover Nuki, the ET ripoff?
What year was that, Tiki?
Maybe not the 80s.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't the 80s, and it didn't count. Again, they go from 80 to 89 in this thing, man.
No, it was 1987. It would have counted.
80s? Okay, well, they got. I don't know if it got worked in briefly when they talked about.
Didn't count 80. They didn't count Nuki for shame. For fucking shame. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. The point being, like I said, it's very comprehensive. I will say this: there's a story in the documentary that blew my mind about James Cameron. So when James Cameron was working on The Abyss, you remember The Abyss, right?
I've never seen it, but yes, I know of it.
Yeah, The Abyss is a movie that was James Cameron's obsession with being underwater, which again, basically
it was like the start of his underwater fetish.
Exactly, which then, of course, led to Titanic, which then led to Way of Water. You get the idea. So the Abyss is, of course, famously is where we had like the CG component kind of worked into an '80s movie, which was huge for the time. Again,
Sure.
the precursor to the T-1000, but you know. Anyway, so he was like, he did scuba diving and everything. He was basically under the water with the camera constantly in the movie. So he had a he realized his oxygen tank was pretty much about to run on empty. So the scuba guy's going down to kind of re-up his tank, give him like give him like a breath of air so he can go up and whatnot. He's coming down with with an air tank, but he put it in like the wrong valve. So he's actually drowning James Cameron. Like he's water is going down his throat, going into his mouth when he's doing that. So James Cameron's trying to he's pushing him away, and he's thinking, "Oh no, he's running out of air. He doesn't have enough. He's not getting enough air. I gotta go back in there with it." So Cameron ends up having to punch the guy while underwater, and he's got to swim to the surface, to gasp for life. And he fires the guy, and he fires the assistant who hired the guy. Oh, it's good. Right. I think that stories like that all throughout this thing, man. I loved it. It's great.
Nice. Okay, so that will about wrap it up. Before we get into best and worst, I'll just give a big shout out to Kogias and Eli of Little Boot Productions for joining us in the comments. All right, Dragon, what do you got? Best and worst.
Okay, it's gonna be petty for worst, but if I had to, it's probably maybe The Crash, but it's not because it's bad. It's gonna get up. It's like The Crash or Dust Bunny. Those are the two that are kind of maybe in the worst camp. I mean, The Crash doesn't have Mads Mikkelsen. That's why I'm saying it's probably The Crash. Mm-hmm. Best easily Castle Cagliostro show.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, for me, you know what? It's goddamn. As much as I want to give it to Dinner in America, because Dinner in America is just like I said, just super wholesome slice of life. I gotta give it to Obsession, man. Obsession is just an instant classic, just an instant fucking classic. Worst, I mean, probably. Is it Mortal Kombat or is it GOAT? I don't know. I think
it's GOAT. It's GOAT.
I'm leaning more. Yeah, they're both bad in different ways, honestly. Yeah, I'll give it to GOAT because because Carl Urban does more for Mortal Kombat than anything has in GOAT. So I'll give it to GOAT. All right,
there you go.
Okay, so good show tonight, Dragon. Good show tonight. All right, folks. We've waxed on long enough, and now it's time to put the pen down. Until next time, when we return for another fitting chapter in our
movie memoirs.
We're having a nice date. I thought we were having a nice date.